Welcome to The Pulse with Peter B. I'm guest host Nicolette Ayala. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. Today's show is brought to you by Liberty Board of Realtors. You can find out more information by heading over to the link at the bottom of the screen. And today's show is also brought to you by the Dream Project, which you can also find out more information by heading over to the link at the bottom of the screen. And joining us, we have our Places Insider, Daria DeLucia.
I love the head move, too.
From at Hoboken Eats. What's up, D?
I'm happy to be back with you.
I'm so happy, too.
And that you're replacing Peter. This is going to be just us now. I'll cross his name out and put with
The Pulse.
The food with Nicolette.
Yes, I love it.
I love it. Sorry, Peter.
Okay, so today we're actually going to talk about Cafe Sophia.
Yes.
Located at 200 Monroe Street in Hoboken.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're a vet there.
I am.
I am not, however, but that is going to be changing.
That is going to
pretty
change.
soon.
They're fairly new to Hoboken, and
Okay.
I'm happy because they're right around the corner from my new house and our apartment. I'm going to become a regular there. I'm going to become a vet.
VIP?
Yes. Fingers crossed. They are, they're kind of one of a kind a little bit in Hoboken. And it's interesting because, when I was recommended by a few of my followers, like, you have to try out Cafe Sophia, you have to try them out. And to me, I thought that it was just going to be like a coffee shop, which is great. Love coffee, need it, especially right around the corner from me.
Absolutely.
So I was excited to go in and check it out one morning, and I get in there and they have like breakfast sandwiches, lunch sandwiches, you can get omelets, and I thought that was, quite interesting because it almost felt like a small little like Italian coffee shop mixed with like a little specialty sandwich shop.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because while some coffee shops serve like it's like some breakfast foods like pastries and things like that, I felt like this kind of was an untapped area a little bit.
Okay.
Super small. They have tables for indoor dining.
Good to know.
Yep. Super cute interior. And it's funny too because I would always see people like waiting outside.
Right.
And I was like, what could they be waiting for? They're waiting for their sandwiches. They're waiting for their coffee. It's like good food coming out. It's not just like your little like bacon, egg, and cheese, which nothing wrong with those.
Homemade too,
Love
you
them.
know.
It's
Right,
literally
yeah.
like this big sandwich that
Right.
I wasn't thinking that I was going to eat for breakfast that day, but
Right.
I went home with a sandwich that was literally this big.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about some things that you've tried there.
So also a way to know how to trust a place and that it's going to be good. So they're located on Monroe. They have 3 breakfast sandwiches, like their specialty breakfast sandwiches.
Okay.
The Monroe, the Sinatra, and the Sophia. So named after themselves, named after
The street.
obviously Sinatra,
Right.
and then right after the street. So I had one of them, which had it had prosciutto, mozzarella, roasted red pepper, spread on it, arugula, mutz, and egg, and it was. Honestly, I like, where did that come from? I was not expecting that.
You're like, what is this?
Everyone recommended that I try it, and I was like, what?
You're like, wait a minute, I didn't.
Yeah.
Where are my sweats?
Yeah, no, it was absolutely delicious, and it really like just felt like my dad made it for me, brought it over on the table.
Right,
it comes
right.
out on like a nice little plate. You can, like I said, I sat in there and ate it.
Right.
Fantastic. Had a latte. Delicious. I had a hot one and a cold one because I was there for longer than I was expecting.
Right.
And it was delicious. The Monroe had bacon, egg. It had, I'm blanking on a couple of the other ingredients, but it was also stacked with quite a few delicious things.
Well, I was actually just going to say the fact that it's filling, like
Yes.
I think what's, kind of iffy, I feel like a lot of people, usually struggle with is that when they try a new place or when they go to a certain place and the food is, it's not really as filling. And then like you're sitting there ordering like 5 different things just to feel full.
Yep.
So the fact that you have this big thing, it's like, listen, if anything, I could save some for later, breakfast tomorrow morning, or, midnight snack, something like that. So that's definitely important.
Oh, 100%. And something else to call out is the quality of the bread, because I'm a big believer that that's where it starts. That's
right,
the first thing that you're
absolutely.
seeing. It was so fresh, so like doughy but light, perfect for the sandwich. And
Right.
I got a lot of people, I posted on Hoboken Eats, and I got a lot of people responding back saying, no, you messed up. I know that bread was good, but you have to get it on the croissant. So
Oh, okay.
And I'll be getting on the croissant.
Oh my God.
When someone recommends a croissant that much, I might just have the croissant by itself, honestly.
You're just like that and the croissant.
Exactly.
Right. So it's funny. I was actually looking at their menu and I saw that they had a ton of paninis. Yes. And the one that, I personally want to try just right away is the Italiano panini.
Yes.
And let me just give you a little backstory. Prior to the summer, I was never a fan of any sort of cold cuts. I would just have straight grilled cheese and that's it. That's like the furthest I would get. So it wasn't actually until I tried Bianca Mano's on, Washington Street.
Fantastic place.
Of course, I had like the sea sandwich and I had the, fresh mozzarella. So I, thought like, all right, maybe this time around I'm going to, now that I've burst my bubble kind of thing, pop my cherry. I'm actually going to try the Italiano panini. And let me just tell you what it has on it. I don't know if you've tried it, but it's supersada, capicola, mozzarella, arugula, some sun-dried tomatoes, and balsamic glaze on a hot pressed Italian bread.
So I'm drooling. I'm literally salivating in my mouth right now. That sounds fantastic.
I was reading. I was like, oh my God. I was like, backstory. I live in New York and I'm just like, oh my God, I got to go to Jersey right now. And I got to like get this right now. So
amazing.
I'm super excited to try that when I go.
Oh, definitely. I just want to touch on the fact that you didn't have cold cuts. And you didn't like cold cuts. You started out high. You went to Bianca Mano's. That's definitely a good place to get cold cuts.
I was like, listen, if I'm gonna set the bar, I gotta go for the the best. Yeah. Obviously, and we're in Hoboken. Hello, so I have to.
I love it. But funny that you brought up the paninis too, because there's one that I'm going to get. It's caught my eye, and just kind of shows the diversity they have in their sandwiches. The pig and fig. So prosciutto.
Oh, I saw that. Okay.
So that one's speaking to me a little bit because I'm like, that's different. Like it sounds crafty. It sounds like it's probably a recipe that their family loved, and that's why they have it on the menu.
Right.
So I'm that's definitely on my list to go back. I saw they had one that was just veggies. It had I think eggplant on it. Arugula, balsamic.
Just
so
like
I know.
Mental note over
all
here,
of them.
guys.
We're gonna have to do a taste test of every single panini on the menu.
Literally, you're gonna have to. And then let's also talk about I don't know if they have dinner there, right?
No.
Okay, so
yeah,
it's just
it's breakfast, lunch. They don't really have a specific dinner menu, but I'm sure that's great for any time of the day.
They could whip up anything. Exactly. And now I know we didn't actually touch up on it. The ambient when you walk in, I know you said it was
super cute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really really cute. You go in, like I said, there's a couple tables inside that you can eat at, and then you just really have like the counter with where they can make the coffees, and then it's literally just like a little small deli style counter on the very back where the magic happens.
Exactly. So now real quick, if you had to not so much compare it, but to another restaurant in Hoboken, what would be similar to that?
I would say I'm thinking ambiance-wise, I'm thinking Jefferson's.
Okay.
Just because it's like the cute quaintness inside.
Okay.
Again, it's super small, but I think that it's one of a kind, that it has your specialty sandwiches and your fantastic coffee.
Okay. Awesome. All right, Daria. It was nice speaking with you.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Definitely gonna, head over to Cafe Sophia.
Yes.
And, you're right there. So, knock on your door and let's go.
Yep.
Breakfast.
Can't wait.
All right, folks. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching the Pulse with Peter B, and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the host chair, and we are in beautiful Secaucus, New Jersey, at the headquarters of the Liberty Board of Realtors with an extremely special guest, and that is the Executive Director and Vice President of the Liberty Board of Realtors, and that's Joseph Hattendorf. How are you today, sir?
Fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having us here.
Right. I'm here at your pleasure.
Oh, I appreciate it. Wow. If I only heard that from the wife at home, huh?
That would be the last time you heard me say that.
I like that a lot, Joe. I really do. So, Joseph, for people that are watching, they might say, what is the Liberty Board of Realtors?
It's basically a trade organization of professionals, like a union, of just real estate professionals, nothing more. Our mission is both education and to protect property rights.
Exactly.
Okay.
And are there different chapters in the states, or?
There's over 20 local boards. There's one state association and one national association.
Okay, very, very interesting. So let's move on to a topic that's always fun, and that's affordable housing. You know, politicians love to say that they support affordable housing by requiring new buildings to set aside units for lower income residents at below market rates. But doesn't the monies the building owner forego from those set aside units, I should say, get shifted to other units, making them more expensive and thus out of reach for the majority of people?
No. What it does do, it just reduces the amount of taxes the city collects, and the school board, and as well as the county. It reduces the income coming in. So the set-aside is subsidized by all the other taxpayers. The problem with these set-asides is there's no sunshine. How many units are there? How many are efficiency? How many are one bedrooms? Do they satisfy the families in the community with 2 and 3 bedroom apartments? No one knows. How do you sign up for one? Do you have to sign up one in each different building? The sunshine is not there. And there's a better way of doing it, and that's the solution that in the 70s they did in Northburg and West New York and Hoboken, and that is find people, people that own property, and make them an offer to subsidize rents for only people that qualify for a need for help.
How would you increase affordability in the residential property market for both renters and owners?
First of all, you have different types of tenants. Mm-hmm. Income. People that are making an income that is not, over 6 figures, need affordable and good housing. We did that in Hoboken. I was part of that. I was a young cub there helping out. We brought in affordable housing, applied housing, Marine View Plaza, K&E.
Church Towers at the time?
Church Towers when I was going to high school.
Oh, okay. So it was before, sorry.
That's right. I remember passing by.
Or maybe Clock Towers?
Clock Towers, I helped bring that in.
Okay. That's what I figured.
And we brought in enough senior citizens buildings to take care of people that own property and now reached an age where, or their tenants, they can't walk up steps. And if you notice, during the 70s and 80s, we tripled the amount of senior citizen buildings there, and we quadrupled the amount of affordable housing. The funny thing about those affordable housings, they're now being converted to market rents. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you have the elected officials saying, I'm going to make another law on rent control. They do nothing about making sure they extend the mortgages or the subsidies on those buildings. So a guy that I went to high school with called me up about 2 years ago. He's a 3rd generation. He's quite a basketball player too, okay? I'm not going to mention his name, but he's probably the best basketball player that ever came out of Hoboken High, at A.J. Demrest.
A.J. Demrest.
That's right. He was moving out. He had 2 kids that were still living with him. They raised his rent from $700 a month to over $2,000. He could not afford it. He was a 3rd generation Hobokenite. What did the elected officials do? They made another rent control law. Mm-hmm. But they didn't take care of the people that really need help. No one is really focusing on the needs of the people that are incomes are not 100,000, not 80,000. They're focusing on the needs of those people that are upper income.
But with the pandemic, do you believe that the laws, the laws, as I like to say, they make it up as they go along.
Executive order.
The executive orders, as they make it up as they go along. Do you believe that they've been completely unfair to landlords throughout the process?
The governor had good intentions. I mean, this was an emergency. Everybody jumped. We got to do this. We got to do this, and he's modified many of his executive orders. Right. He didn't modify one of them, and that deals with you're not allowed to evict a tenant if they didn't pay rent. Well, you know, unemployment in New Jersey went up, what, 12, 13%? But it's slowly going down. We just did a recent survey, and the question we wanted to know was, do you have tenants that are not paying rent? And then the next question was, did they lose their job because of the national emergency, right? Or they are still working? The number that told us that they have people in the building telling them, the governor said, I don't have to pay rent. Now, this is not just in apartment buildings. This is in small homeowners. One of them was a woman who started off with, I am a single mom. I work every day. I pay for childcare. My insurance for the building went up. My taxes went up. And my tenant told me the governor says I don't have to pay rent. That's such a sad story. Right. There's no need for that. We now send a letter out to the governor asking him to modify his executive order to conform with what the federal that's right. Which is, if you are affected, your job was affected, you can get away with not paying rent. But if you weren't, and don't forget, most people weren't, okay? Exactly. That's right. But the ones that were, if you're in a certain career, it's going to be quite some time before you get back to work. Now, they do have these subsidies that they subsidize some people's rent, but it doesn't even cover the number of people that were in need of assistance. But the most serious problem deals with those that are not paying and are working. Right. They're taking advantage of the system. They're taking advantage of the governor's good nature, okay? And here's the problem. If you're a condo owner, or you're a 2-family or 3-family or 1-family homeowner, and you don't have one of those tenants, your taxes are going to go up because of that. Right. Because some of the small homeowners will have to sell, which will bring their value. You put more product on the market, values go down, and then the apartment building owners will be going in for tax appeals, and they will win. And when they pay less taxes, the condo owners, the 1-family, they will all pay more. Right. All right? And the funny thing is, the silliness of Jersey City Council, knowing the vacancy factor is so large in Jersey City, they passed a resolution saying no rent increases for a year, okay?
I guess they want the vacancies to go up, huh?
Their actions mean nothing because there's going to be no rent increases because property owners are looking for tenants. Right. Okay? Right. So
I heard there's like negotiations from renters to landlords trying to negotiate the price down on rentals, happening everywhere.
Here's our issue. We get a spin-off from New York City. Right. That's it's always made Hudson County popular, okay? From the days that it was a resort. The beach, the Hudson River was a swimming hole for the wealthy of New York. They used to come over here, all right? We always had that spin-off. New York, the safety in the streets is terrible. The vacancy factor is twice ours. The concessions that the property owners are offering, not only reducing rents, but the concessions make the concessions that our property owners are offering almost nil.
Well, Joseph Hottendorf, thank you so much for joining us. Okay. And hopefully we can be invited back when this is all over and talk about how the rental markets are booming.
Well, that'll be about a year and a half, 2 years from now.
Well, maybe we'll come back and talk about something else.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you.
Folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Fios Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there.
Hi, everybody. This is Frank Rosner, guest hosting for Peter B. on The Pulse. My guest, as usual, is Joshua Sotomayor Einstein. Josh, how are you?
Good. You're the only one, whether host or guest host, that ever gets my name 100% correct, so I appreciate it.
That's all right.
Appreciate
That's my theater background. Anyway,
yeah?
Josh.
You were in the background of a theater?
Most of the time.
Sitting in the last row?
Absolutely, yeah.
Were you doing a Pee Wee Herman?
No, I didn't have my SAG card yet. And boy, they really SAG now, but I'm not going to go there. Anyway, if they need to cut that out, go ahead. So, Josh, how are you? Good to see you. Let's, wow. If I can make Josh laugh that much, I can't wait till I hit the stand-up
All right, we're
circuit.
killing time.
We're killing
Let's
time.
go.
So, Josh, what's been going on in Hoboken that ticks you off?
Well, it was recent news that with the most recent stimulus bill passed by our Congress and signed by the president, that Hoboken will be receiving about 27 point something million dollars. I think it's 27.5, 27.6.
That's correct.
Over the next 2 years.
That's correct.
In theory, to help recover from COVID, but in reality, our wise leaders in City Hall, and I say that facetiously, even though some of them are very nice people, will probably spend that on projects that they've long wanted to do, didn't have the funds for, and some of those projects will be good, but I would imagine, if past this prologue, that a whole ton of that money will end up essentially being flushed down the toilet on constituent services or things that their voter blocks want, but Hoboken doesn't really need. None will actually be used to help the taxpayer, help the resident, help the small landlord, or very little will be. And they'll make a fanfare of what little they use, but as usual, it'll be scraps from the table like you feed your dog.
Well, let's see what happens. I think, the council has some pretty decent people on it. I happen to like some of the stuff that Ravi's doing, and we'll see how those monies are allocated for the appropriate and proper priorities that Hoboken needs, not just so necessarily squandered away. That's the hope.
Oh, I mean, that is the hope, but you're already calling these unknown priorities appropriate. It's like you're buttressing whatever they're going to spend it on, even before they've announced mostly what they're going to spend it on. And I mean, when it comes to spending in the city of Hoboken, we spend an inordinate amount on lawsuits. We spend an inordinate amount on eminent domain. Every couple of years, it feels like we just redo the streets. Why can't they redo the streets like the ancient Romans did it? Get it right the first time.
That was one of my pet peeves, actually, because I take the bus into the city every morning and then take it back during the work week. And I think per capita basis, Hoboken probably has the highest rate of kidney stones. Just from bumping up and down on the roads. It's amazing. I mean, we did some roads just this past year, even pre-COVID. I can understand the COVID stuff, but after COVID, I really think the roads need some attention. That would be a priority. It's really under infrastructure. If they can get us some of those infrastructure projects going the way they initially planned, I think it'll be a good thing. But you also got to take into account the county monies that are coming in. It's not just Hoboken. It's for Hudson County. There's how much? About $100 million slated, maybe or a little more. I'm not sure.
I think it's more than that. But if we look in the county level, what did our fearless leaders in the county government, the least known part of government to residents across New Jersey on the county level? So many people don't even know it exists because it's antiquated and really shouldn't exist anymore. But what did they decide to do when they heard that this money was in the pipeline.
What was that, Josh?
They decided to give themselves raises and to give their underlings, the directors and the assistant directors and other high up people raises. So at a time when tens of thousands of residents of Hudson County have had to tighten the belt and make do with less because of the economic restrictions that were imposed, and there's underemployment that massively abounds. Our taxpayer-supported elected officials, who, especially on the freeholder board, sorry, that's racist according to liberals. We have to call them
chairman.
we
They're
have
all
to call them
chairman now,
committee
yes.
committee people.
That's
right?
correct. Well, they're chairman.
For a part-time job, they just raised their salary, mostly in the $50,000 range. And then when we talk about the public employees, that they raise the salary on the county level, the heads of departments and whatnot, some of them were talking about in the six-figure raise. And they all got raises while everybody else, all the working class people in Hudson County, have had to tighten their belts. So this is the upside-down world we live in. I expect we'll see more of that. Because of the political machines that rule our county and the patronage positions that they dole out for support. It's kind of disenchanting, to say the least.
Well, I got to tell you, folks, it's great here talking with Josh. From now on, I'm going to call him Mr. Positive. I'm actually, I'm neither positive nor negative. I think they will do the right thing eventually. Regardless of the raises, some of them deserve it anyway. We did get my I got my stimulus check, which is good. We're going to use it to pay down bills, as I think most people are. I'm a working class guy. I have a job, thank God. I'm grateful for it, especially during this time of COVID. And, we're making ends meet, just like, every other schlump that I know of. Try to eke out a living, make sure that they get up every morning and they're relatively healthy, in my case, and just go to work, come back, eat, keep a roof over your head. These are things that I think that are admirable, and this is what we should go after. We should try to keep it positive, try to keep it going, just to make sure we try and get things right, because if we don't try to get things right, it won't matter.
I really appreciate everything you said, especially because you deployed an army of straw men that had absolutely no point, nor anything to do with the fact that across New Jersey and indeed across the country, municipal and county level governments, as well as state governments, are being given a giant barrel of pork spending that has been ripped out of the federal taxpayer's wallet, everybody's wallet, and has little to nothing to do with COVID.
It's called hopeful rhetoric, Mr. Positive.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, when you hit reality, when you're speeding down the highway and a deer jumps out, you can be as hopeful as you want, but the reality is that you just had a gosh darn accident and you need to deal with that.
That's all right. I drive safely and I hit the brakes nice and easy.
I think in order to put a positive spin on the sad state of affairs when it comes to decades of misgovernment in Hudson County and in New Jersey as our state, I think you have to be smoking a lot of that new legal weed. I think the reality means we have to be sober adults, and we can be positive about the future, but we don't have to sweep anything under the rug.
Well, there you go, folks. Joshua Sotomayor Einstein delving into his philosophy. It's interesting that he used the smoke legalization. Actually, if you look at the literal word is cannabis, and that means you can.
Well, I'm still laughing hysterically from that last segment. I want to thank Frank Rosner for coming in and guest hosting, and to a much lesser extent, Josh. We love Frank. Josh, not so much. Folks, today's show is brought to you by the Liberty Board of Realtors. Be sure to check out more information at the link at the bottom of your screen. It's also brought to you by The Dream Project. You can find out more information from our friends at The Dream Project, also at the link at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for joining us this week. Join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. Have a great week, everybody.
The Pulse with Peter B. is a proud partner of Eyes on NJ.